everybody. Welcome to Still Roses podcast. This podcast was created for women by women to elevate women's voices. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited for this week because I am finally able to announce to everybody that the Still Roses How to Podcast Guide has been released and made live. This has been something that I have been working on for months. I think I started working on it. The original planned launch was April. And so in, February, March is when I started working on it. Figuring out what the concept was going to be, building out the website, building out all of the modules, figuring out what I was going to say, writing the downloadable guide, which is, I think at this point, 33 pages. And really putting that thought into, well, one, why am I doing it? And then also how am I going to do this? It's going to make a difference for people. So the premise really for the guide itself is when I launched this podcast originally with my cousin in 2023. It's been a while. In 2023. Or 2022. No, 2023. Sorry. Anyway, April 2023 is when we launched. I had started doing research for the podcast, however, in 2021 in the winter, November, December timeframe. And being a true marketer person, I started looking at, target demographics, what's the topic going to be, brainstorming the type, what the podcast is going to be called. And then really thinking through, what am I passionate about? What topics do I want to talk about? And clearly, elevating women is beyond for me. It's beyond, and you all know that. But when I was looking at launching the podcast, I kept researching it. How do you do it? And because while I do have broadcast experience, and while I have virtual broadcast experience, and I have loads of project management experience, knowing and understanding the actual steps is not quite clear online. And so if you Google it right now, how to start a podcast, you're going to get the same basic steps pretty much every single time, but the behind the steps, the thoughts behind the steps, and the process behind the steps is not clear. And I looked high and low for more details on how to do things. I paid quite a bit of money for classes and guides and, really something to launch me, to really get me going. But there was no guide that really explained to me very clearly, this is your step one. This is the first step you're going to take is, picking your recording equipment. This is, the first step you're going to take is choosing your platform. Where are you hosting your podcast? Which, by the way, for recording equipment, I will say this, initially, when I was looking at podcasting, they have tons of stuff on Amazon, podcast equipment. If you look it up, there's highs and lows. You can get something for $20 or you can get something for thousands, And in the beginning, when I started, I'm I don't want to put too much money into this. I don't really know where this is going to go. I've always been passionate about it. I always had a gut feeling that this is going to be something big for me. But the reality of it was at the time, I'm I really didn't have the money to put, a ton of money behind what I was doing. So I opted for, a well-reviewed microphone, which I'm still using in this moment. You don't have to go too far with equipment or technology. There's so much that you don't really need to do, but sometimes online, again, it's really not clear. And then you don't really know what you're doing until you're in it. So this guide is built around me putting my brain into paper to tell you how easy it can be to start a podcast. It does not have to be complex. And that's really the cornerstone of the entire, almost the entire guide. And you'll hear it So for throughout the guide, it's 33 pages, and each section is broken out into 2 sections. One of them is the quick start. How do you just get this going for as little cost as possible? And then there's the more detailed, like diving into the details section. So that's section 2. In the upfront, I talk through, what you can do, and then what's the minimum? What is the minimum there? What do you need? What's the minimum you need to do just to get your podcast off the ground? I think a lot of people, the barrier beyond technology is getting overwhelmed, thinking like you have to do so many things when, to be perfectly honest, you don't. And I've said it on other episodes where I talk about how to podcast, where like there was, I was doing earlier in the year, like a VIP thought module series, and I ran it all throughout the first year almost. And I recorded those in my car. On my way to and from meditating, like there's a lot to it that like can be made simpler. And, that's where I felt a responsibility to bring that information to other people. Like, you don't have to be so complicated. This can actually be super easy. Now, podcasting itself is a medium that is starting to really take shape and really pick up pace. So if you have that inkling or that feeling that you're really want to do something, you want to use your voice, like this is a really great mode and way to do it. This is a great medium to do it because you can authentically be yourself. You can engage on a personal level with people that are listening to you, and you really get to share their stories if you have guests, or share your own story. I mean, there's just so much more to it that people can take away from it. And from the beginning, I had always said that even if there's only one person listening, which thankfully there's more than one, but even if there's only one person listening, that helps me meet my goal. If this podcast only helps one woman, if one woman listens to, an early episode where we talked about postpartum depression and it helps her get through that moment, then my job is done. If one mother hears me crying or ranting on one of these episodes and is like, oh my God, me too, I'm also falling apart, that's why I'm here. That is literally why I'm here. That's why I'm still doing this. That's why I did I prioritized podcasting this evening instead of, hanging out with my kids, because I did hang out with them all weekend. And I said, mommy has to record today. Like I have to get this done. And, luckily they understand, and I think they're proud of me for this too. So, it's one of those things that I'm like, I want to help people. I want you guys to know that I'm here for you. I'm here to help you. And, if you're interested in podcasting, I'm going to link the website in the description of this episode so you can access it easily to take a look through what the materials would be. You can get it. It almost gives you like a sneak peek at like, what it would look like visually. And then, there's actually 2 packages. So there's like a basic package that's less expensive. It's and it includes all the video modules and the downloadable PDF. There's a VIP package that includes 2 engagements with me, so 2 one-on-one accountability calls with me. And then you also have the option to purchase ad hoc calls. If you're developing a podcast and you want to go ahead and, have someone help you out and get through those early days, I'm here. Like it's very hard. And, I've noticed that other people also that I'm connected with take breaks too. You get burnt out sometimes, and then you have to kind of recalibrate, reset. There's some podcasters that I follow that got me in the game basically, and they recalibrate and reset all the time. One of them used to post an episode every single day of the week, Monday through Friday. There was 5 episodes a week, and I was astounded at the amount of episodes I couldn't even keep up. She was posting so many episodes, and they were so amazing. And I wanted to listen to all of them, but I didn't have 5 hours a week. So it was just one of those things. And then this year, and I couldn't wrap my head around, like, how is she doing that? And she was also doing all these webinars, and she's doing all these virtual trainings, and she was hosting live things and all this stuff. And I was just like, my God, like, how is she accomplishing all this? And then this year she scaled back. And that to me says that we all need to really take a look at this. You have to make it work for you. whatever you're doing. So whether it's podcasting or something else, whatever you're doing, you have to make it work for you. And that's really, again, like one of the points is podcasting specifically, make it work for you. Like the summer series that we're listening to right now, like this is my summer series. It's just going to be me, mostly because I know people's schedules change during the summer, and, short, quick hit episodes are going to be a little bit easier for everybody to listen to, but also because I get burnt out. For every guest episode that I have to record that guest episode in advance, and I have to make sure I edit it. And sometimes I have to clear it with the guests themselves. So, there's a lot more to it from my perspective. And so taking the summer to just do episodes alone is like, great. And I get to be talking with you guys a couple times a week. So that in itself makes me happy, and it really lights me up. So I'm super excited about this. And even if you yourself you're not interested in podcasting specifically, you share it along with somebody. I'm always grateful for all of you. I'm very appreciative for any support from any of you, sharing along the guide and, helping me get this message out there. So that was top of mind, mostly because I just launched it today. So I'm super excited about it. Now on to other things. If you're living in the States, this episode is going to be airing on July 2nd. So, it's a big week for us here in the United States because we have July 4th holiday coming up. I love having folks around. I love having family around for holidays, especially during the summertime, because we get to be outside and enjoy the backyard. My husband and I have been working a lot to spruce up the backyard, make it nice and enjoyable for people. So I'm super excited about that. One thing that I always overdo, and this is definitely coming from my background, is food. Now I am very particular about what I eat, especially being a vegetarian. I kind of only really like a few things. But this year, there's been other years where we've had people here, and this year, is the first year that I've decided that I'm not going to cook for the whole holiday. And I might do a little bit of grilling, but, no, I'm actually, let me take that back. I'm not going to do grilling. I am ordering a few trays of food, and I'm kind of just calling it a day, and that's it. And I'm going to spend the time with my family, actually enjoying with them, because most of the time when we have company, I'm in the kitchen the entire time, and I love it. I love feeding my family. That's how I express myself to them. That's how I show them my love for them, is through food. But in this instance, I really want to be able to hang out with everybody. I want to spend time with people. I want to chat with people. I never get to do any of this stuff. So that's a shift for me this year. And honestly, the only reason why, we can actually afford to do it this year. So I'm very, very grateful for that, because that's not the norm for me for prior years. So I'm excited about that. And having my family, my grandkids, everybody here. So that's coming in this upcoming week. And then, just the regular summertime stuff. So this is, I think, my last episode. I talked about 2 weeks of summer going in. We're going into our third week of summer with the kids in day camp for half the day and then coming home to me. It's a short week. As I said, I'm only doing Monday and Tuesday this week. But nevertheless, even when it's just a 2-day work week, actually when it is a 2-day work week, I think some of you are going to understand when I say that you have to almost work harder because you're just trying to, when you get to a certain level in your career and people are depending on you and you really have, things that you're carrying on your shoulders professionally, it's almost harder on you when you take time off, because you have to crunch things in to a very small period of time. So in this case, I'm crunching 5 days into 2, which will be very interesting for me on Monday and Tuesday. Which is also why I took off Wednesday, because I was like, I'm going to need a minute before everybody arrives. So my method before I'm going to take time off is really to hustle a little bit harder. So I'll be condensing a lot into those 2 days. So that's going to be interesting with the kids and everything this week. And then on a whole separate note, that kind of just focusing in on health and wellness for a minute. The last few weeks, in addition to the craziness and everything, I was feeling like run down, and I kept feeling like I was kind of sick, but I wasn't sick enough for it to be like an issue, but I was sick enough that I was like uncomfortable and not myself and grouchy. And for the first time in forever, not forever. I've been working at this for a while, but I made sure to prioritize like sleep. And that for me is quite shocking. I'm proud of myself for it. So that's actually why I'm sharing that, because in prior years, anytime I didn't feel well, I would power through. It didn't matter what it was. Well, the only thing that took me out was stomach viruses. Those take me out. Like there is no, I can't get around that you go down hard with those. I always try to bounce back quickly, but you're going to go down hard with those regardless. But normally on the regular, outside of that particular illness, anytime I was sick, I would just power through. I would suck it up. I would take as much medicine as my stomach could handle over the counter, and I would just keep going. And I did not give my body time to rest, and I would just go. And that was something that over the past year and a half, over the past year and a half, I've been adamantly trying to change, because your body needs that rest. When you get sick, it's literally your body telling you like, oh, something's happened here. I need time to recuperate. Sleep is such an important element in our lives for keeping us healthy. And it's something that we totally just throw to the wayside. I am a continual offender for lack of sleep. Not recently, but in my prior years, I mean, I think I've said it to you guys before, when the kids were little, I was probably only sleeping like when my twins were babies still, probably for the first 2 years of their lives. Yeah, the first 2 or 3 years of their lives, I think I was only sleeping like 2 to 3 hours a day. And that was spread out through the whole night, because what would end up happening is like they would all wake up. Like one would wake up and I would get that one down. I'd fall asleep for like 15 minutes. And the other one would wake up. I'd get that one down. I'd fall asleep. And I would literally sleep anywhere. I slept on the floor of their room. I slept in their beds. I slept on the couch. I didn't care where I was falling asleep. I would just fall asleep because I just needed to get whatever sleep I could. During that time, what would end up happening is that I would have these full body shutdowns, and I would literally be mid activity. And there was one instance in particular, I think it was like a Saturday or something. And I was in the middle of cooking something, and I just felt myself starting to shut off, which was wild. So it was like beat the clock, trying to finish what I was doing, and then saying to my husband as I like dragged myself down the hallway, like, watch the kids, I have to lay down for a second. And I literally just dropped, and I would drop for like a couple hours, and then I would wake back up and be like, okay, sorry about that. And I would keep going. That happened frequently. There was a separate instance where I was home with my kids. My husband was at work, and it started to happen, and I knew it was happening. And I was like, all right, I had read an article that said if you're in a situation where you need to sleep and you are with your kids and they're awake and they're not sleeping, just make sure you're in a safe space where no one can get hurt. So I remember I brought us all, they were small enough that they couldn't reach the doorknobs yet, or they couldn't quite get them open. And so I brought them all into one of their rooms, their bedrooms, which is obviously fully childproofed and safe. And I laid down right on the floor, and I let them just play around me. And I just laid there, and I think I fell asleep for a little bit, but not deep like REM, just enough that it got me through. And then I was able to get up and be, me again. But, there was instances like that. So I do want to say that, if you're finding yourself in that situation where, you're habitually sleep deprived, as painful as even me saying it, and you can hear it in my voice, I'm having a hard time even saying it. Because when people used to say to me, like, well, you have to find time to lay down, I used to get so pissed off, like, excuse my language. I used to get so friggin' mad because I'm like, please tell me when. When I went for a physical for the first time after my girls were born, and I explained the whole situation to my doctor about my sleep deprivation, and she was like, well, you're going to have to try to find a way to sleep. I was like, I had to bite my tongue before like cursing her out and being like, what the F do you want me to do? Like, what would you like me to do? And that was like that for a long time. So I'm saying it. I think you all know it probably. And, for those of you who are like, yeah, okay, tell me when you can come watch my kids so I can take a nap. Obviously, no, I can't. But you know what? Like, try to find a workaround, because I never did. I wish I did. I wish I had asked for help, to be honest with everybody. I wish I had. Maybe things would have been a little bit different had I asked for help and tried to prioritize myself. I know some women who do prioritize themselves before their kids, just not all the time, but like for some stuff. And they're probably better for it. I never did it. And I'm like, I hope that trait doesn't quite rub off on my kids. I kind of hope that the girls pick up a better balance than what I ever did, because I was so imbalanced. It was like obscene. Okay. So with that in mind, I do want to cut this episode a little bit because I'm going over the 20-minute mark, and I promised that these would be all short hits. So again, kind of just full circle, I'm going to link to the podcast guide in this episode. Take a look at it, check it out. Again, I'm super excited about it. It's really, really awesome material. And, if it's not something you're interested in and you can, forward it along, I greatly appreciate it. This week with the holiday, it may only be a 1-episode week. I'll see what I can do. I might end up having to do an episode just because of my sanity, and you guys keep me sane. So until next time, thank you so much for listening. Leave me a review on whatever platform you're listening on. I greatly appreciate that. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.